Today is yoga for stress, nice, slow, gentle class. We're going to do some self-massage of the face, self-massage of the body and also of the face. So make sure you wash your hands today because we're going to touch our face. So today is nice and gentle. We are going to try and do some muscular action, just connecting with some muscles and releasing some tension in the body, moving and breathing. We're going to do a lot of sitting. So if you are not comfortable in crisscross sitting like this, grab a chair. There's no points for being uncomfortable. So you have a chair handy if you need a chair. We're going to get started on our backs. So come on down to your back. Land on the mat. So begin grounding. Begin landing on the mat. Starting to feel your body. Connect with the physical body. Notice what is present. Bring your feet to the ground, knees up, and let your knees lean in against each other softly. And take all the tension out of your low back. Try and get nice and soft in the low back. Bring the chin to the ceiling so that you have a little more of the natural curve of your neck. And then just bring your hands to your torso, wherever is comfortable. Feel the warmth of your hands. And imagine the warmth of your hands is kind of drawing you down into the mat. Softening and helping you land right here in this space, in this moment in time. Notice what the thoughts are doing. Notice how the breath is. And check in with how you feel. Starting to really be present. We're going to start a little breath practice, not forceful and just nice and slow and intentional. We're going to breathe in fully, add a gentle pause, breathe out fully, and add another gentle pause. And if it helps, you can say to yourself, I am breathing in, gentle pause. I'm very slowly breathing out, gentle pause. So as you start to focus in on your breath, notice if you start to bring lots of muscular forcefulness to your torso. Notice if you start to tense around the shoulders or the chest. Notice if you tense around the face. Try to remain soft and just focus in on filling up the lungs. Nice and slow and gentle. Perhaps exploring making your little pauses a little bit longer. Not so long that they increase tension, but just long enough to feel a pause. Feel what it's like to hold breath in the body, and then feel what it is like to hold breath out of the body. And then let all focus on your breath go and just check in. Notice how you feel. Bring your hips about hip width, your feet about hip width apart, knees up. We're going to start to move and breathe, lifting the hips. So leaving the shoulders on the ground, firing up the backs of the legs and the stomach. Arms can be on the ground. They can point up to the ceiling and press down the backs of your arms a little into the ground. Inhale as you lift the hips. Exhale as you lower. Starting just to connect with moving with the breath. You want to continue that little pause breath, pausing at the top and the bottom of the breath, or even just pausing at one place or the other, whichever feels right for you. You can add that, but just practice moving, connecting with your muscles, moving with the breath, and connecting with your muscles up as well as you lower the hips. So slowing the lowering of your hips. It's going to be a challenging talking day today. Apparently I'm tongue-tied. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Lower the hips. Take a little side sway of the knees. Make sure the back is nice and soft, especially the low back. We're going to focus a little in around the pelvic area. So leaving everything on the mat, we're just going to lift the tailbone as we inhale and lower. So a little tilt of the pelvis. Lift and lower. This time, trying to grab muscular action as if we're pulling from the tailbone up the spine. So think of deep internal muscles, your mula bandha, for those of you familiar with yogic terms. But make sure you're pulling, lifting, and then as you lower, everything begins to soften. So not only just pulling and lifting, but making sure everything can turn off too. So we're connecting with turning the muscles on and then turning them off. Maybe even adding that gentle pause. Small, tiny tuck, moving just in our base. Watch for any tension across the shoulders and up into the neck. And then take a little side sway with the knees, reset. This time wiggle your feet out a little wider, maybe even wider than your mat. We're going to move through the muscles of the tops of our legs. So we're going to inhale with our knees open. Exhale as we bring both knees over towards the left. Now we're trying to fire up the muscles of the legs. Inhale, open. Exhale, draw both knees towards the left. Allow the hips to kind of move as they're going to move. Try not to restrict, but use the muscles of the legs. Moving with the breath, nice and slow, kind of really trying to connect with the front of the hips, the front of the thighs. Then bring the knees back up and wiggle the feet back into about hip distance. Make sure your back, your low back, is nice and soft. And then we're going to lift and hover the right leg. Left leg stays down on the ground, and we want to keep our hips down onto the ground. So maybe push the hips down with the stomach muscles a little bit. You're going to lift and hover this right leg, lengthen it. Start to fire up the muscles of the right leg. So if your back is doing all the work here, lift the leg a little more. Try and keep this in the lower core and in the leg. We're going to inhale as we lift the right leg, exhale as we lower. Not worrying about how high or how much movement we make, but connecting with the muscles of the leg. Really activate the right leg. Try to keep this all in the leg and a little bit in the lower core, not in the back. Watch for tension and compensation patterns in the neck and across the shoulders and in the low back. And then bring the right leg to a hover. Bring the knee in towards the chest. And we're going to inhale as we bring the knee in. Exhale as we push the foot away. Inhale as we bring the knee in. Exhale as we push the foot away. Now we're not looking for our hips to be wobbling on the ground, so a little bit of attention here, pushing your hips down into the ground, maybe even keeping your hands here to remind yourself to remain grounded. Move with your breath, nice and slow. And then bring your knee in and take really slow circle with the knee, feeling every part of this circle. Thinking about opening this hip, nice and slow. And then lower the right foot and take a little side sway. Notice left and right sides. And then set up for the other side. Right foot stays on the ground. Hips are pressed into the ground. Left leg hovers. Keeping our hips grounded. Keeping the work out of our lower back. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, lower. Watch for gripping on the right toes. Watch for like pulling and gripping compensation patterns. We want to fire up the leg. Find the muscles of the leg. Move with your breath. And then hover the left leg. Bring the knee in. We're going to inhale as we bring the knee in. Exhale as we push the foot away. So again, watching for your compensation patterns. If your back is doing the work, don't have the foot so low to the ground and fire up the muscles of the stomach to press the hips and maybe even the rib cage down. Bring the left knee in and take a really slow circle with the knee. Thinking about opening the hip, but nice and slow, not just rolling through the joint, but using your muscles to find every angle your leg can move in. And then lower the left foot and take a side sway with the knees. Resetting. Bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees come out to the sides. So see where your knees land, what you feel on the inner thighs. Notice low back, so watch for compensation patterns in the low back or gripping in the low back. So notice where you're at. Inhale as you open. Exhale, squeeze the knees slowly back in. Inhale as you open. Exhale, squeeze. Nice and slow, finding the muscles. Trying to keep this all in the legs. Maybe a little push of the hips down into the ground. Bring the feet back to the ground, soles of the feet to the ground. We're going to lift and hover the right leg. This time, we're going to turn the toes out and think about the heel. So fire up the whole inside of the right leg. And we're going to lift. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower, trying to find the inner thigh. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower. Keeping an eye on your hips, grounding the hips, trying not to let the hips wiggle around on the ground. Maybe opening the right leg a little more over to the right. Inhale as you lift. And exhale as you lower. Trying to keep this leg really strong. Active, active, active muscles. Watch for your compensation patterns in the neck, in the face. Soften the face. And then bring the right ankle just underneath the left knee. And press the right knee away from you with your leg muscles. And then slowly switch sides, taking a little side sway in between. And then left leg lifts and hovers, toes turn out. Think about lifting from the heel. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Really firing up inner thigh and inner leg. Maybe taking the heel, the leg a little bit out further to the left. And then cross the left heel just underneath the right knee and press the left knee away from you with the muscles of the leg. And slowly unravel, left foot to the ground, knees side to side. Bring the knees into the chest, give yourself a little hug. And then looking at your feet, just bringing your toes towards the shins, spreading your toes, and then slowly pressing them away. So really looking at your feet, feeling the muscles of your feet, connecting to what is present in your feet. And then active feet. So find the muscles of your feet, maybe pull the toes towards the shins, and then pressing the balls of the feet away. Take slow ankle circles, as slow as you can. And then back the other way. And then bring your feet back to neutral, toes pulling back towards the shins, pressing the balls of your feet away from you. So really strong, active feet. And then we're going to turn the toes in and then turn the toes out. Nice and slow. Trying to keep all of this movement in the foot. So really watching this low back, trying to keep the back soft, really just trying to move through the feet. And then soften the feet. Give yourself a little hug. Roll on over to a side and come on up to a tabletop position. We're going to move and breathe here. Inhaling tabletop, exhaling towards a child's pose shape. Feel free to explore gentle pauses in your breath. Starting to take a little ownership of your own practice. So make your own decision about where your hands want to be today. Make your own decision about where your knees are on your mat, whether your feet are apart or together, your knees are apart or together. Maybe taking some changes in your shape. And then bring it back to a tabletop position. We're going to take our right leg out, active right leg. So So even with the hip, nice and strong. Lift up out of the ground so stomach and chest are active. We're not sinking into our shoulders, lifting strong. Take left hand out, balance and breathe. Lifting up out of the ground, nice and strong and active. Lower left hand, lower the toes of the right foot and press through the heel. You can take this static or little pulses. Feel like you're pulling from the calf muscle. So lengthening the back of the leg, pulling from the lower leg. And then lower the right knee. Set up for the other side. So lifting up out of the ground, strong chest and stomach. Left leg long. Right arm long. Lift and balance. And don't forget to breathe. Lower the right hand. Lower the toes of the left leg. And then press through the heel. So lengthening the back leg as if pulling from the lower calf muscle. Lower the left leg. We're going to take the right leg even with the hip. So looks like this, out to the side. Land the right foot. So once you land here, press into the right foot and find the inner thigh. So try not to sink into the shoulders, try to be a little bit active, but focusing on the inner thigh. So things you can do for this stretch, press into the foot as if you're trying to push the foot away from you, and then pull back. So pull back with the muscles of the leg as if you're pulling the heel towards the left knee. You can move the hips slow, back and forth, feeling the leg muscle, or you can keep it static if you found that place where it feels like a delicious stretch. And breathe. Slowly bring the right knee back and open up left side. Land the foot, press into the foot, and then find inner thigh. Breathe. Slowly bring the left knee back and find yourself in a child's pose. So sending hips back. So legs open or closed. Find the position that works for you and release into the ground. Come on back to a tabletop position, and we're going to make room for our wrists. So a little bit further out from our shoulders than we normally have our hands. Press into the hands. So press into the hands and then pull back from the hands. So as if you're trying to drag your hands towards your knees without letting your hands move. And then lift up, and we're going to lift up onto the fingertips slowly of one hand at a time. So lifting through the muscles of the hands and fingers. Slowly just feeling the hands and fingers. Maybe coming up onto fingertips of both hands and taking a little weight into the fingers. Nice and slow and gentle, just feeling your hands. And then right hand down, turn the fingertips of the left hand down to palm up, fingertips point towards the left knee. And feel like you're opening up back of the wrist. So you can pull the hand as if you're pulling it on the mat without letting it move. And then switch sides. Right fingertips point towards the knee, palm up. And back. We're going to work through the shoulders. So maybe hands a little bit wider than the shoulders. And with a little bit of weight on the shoulders, we're going to take shoulder circles. So thinking about moving your shoulder blades in slow circles, as if you're trying to find all the ways that your shoulder blades can move. And then back in the other direction. And then we're going to slowly lower all the way down to crocodile pose. So stomach down, one hand on top of the other, and forehead down. Shimmy the hips. What can you let go of? Find your breath. We're going to move and breathe using the back line, so using all the muscles of our back. Keeping our hands wherever we're comfortable for balance. We're going to fire up all the muscles of the back and inhale, lift the shoulders. Exhale, lower. Fire up the backs of the legs. Experiment with pressing the tops of the feet down into the ground. Trying to lift the shoulders and not the head. So we're not pulling the head back and getting a big arch in any part of our spine. We're just looking to fire up the muscles of the back, lengthen and strengthen the back. And then bring yourself to a little lift of the shoulders, a little press into the hands. We're going to move through the shoulders, turning and twisting. So our inhale is lifted. Exhale, bring left shoulder towards center and turn and look at right leg. Inhale, center. Exhale, turn and look at the left, bringing right shoulder towards center. So nice and slow. And as you get the hang of it, start to imagine unwinding patterns of movement, patterns of your day-to-day movement in your upper back and your shoulders. Move a little more freely. Move with your breath. And then bring it back to crocodile pose. Shimmy the hips and surrender into the ground. Tucking the toes, firing up the muscles of the stomach. Press back into a child's pose with the hips high. Think about lengthening across the lower back. And then come on up to a seated position. Feel free to grab your chair. So getting really, really tall in the spine. So we're going to work shoulders and spine, and then we're going to go on to some massage for the face. Massage for the hands. So getting really, really long in the spine. If you're on a chair, trying to have your sits bones even on the chair. And thinking about getting taller, taller, taller in the spine without drawing our shoulders back or pulling our chin back, but imagining lengthening from the crown of the head. We're going to work through a little bit of twisting motions. We're going to bring our hands out, palms facing each other, arms strong. So start to really strengthen your arms. Make your arms strong, your chest strong. We're going to inhale here, and as we pull one arm back and twist, we're going to exhale. Inhale back through center, exhale, twist. Move with your breath. A couple of options here. If you're feeling a little stagnant energy, you can pump this up a little. So pulling a little more forcefully and breathing a little more quickly. If you need to just be slow and gentle, move with a slow, gentle breath. A couple of things to watch for. Watch for pressing into the hips to gain a little more twist. Watch for pressing into a foot to gain a little more twist. Think about this movement, twisting through the core, moving from the solar plexus up, moving the rib cage. Watching compensation patterns in the low back, really trying to bring this into the core. Inhale, exhale, twist. If your arms are getting tired, you can start to pull and bend the arms. And then bring it back to center. And slowly bring your hands in circles as you lower them down to your lap. Slow circles, not just rolling around, but really feeling the muscles. Land your hands in your lap and take a check-in on the spine and the shoulders. Find your breath. We're going to work upper back and across the back of the shoulder blades. So we're going to bring our hands to opposite shoulders and then fold forward, rounding upper back just a little. And then we're going to take a really slow circle as if we're moving only the upper back. So imagine you could just undo all of your day-to-day actions and then take the circle in the opposite direction. And then bring the spine back to neutral. Release the arms. Get really tall in the neck and then take the chin down towards the chest and make your head move in a very slow circle. So we're not rolling the head. We're trying to find the muscles in the neck. Really slowly moving through all the angles our head can move in and then all the way back. Bring your head back to neutral and soften the shoulders. Loosen, soften. We're going to take little side body stretches. So inhale, arms up, exhale, fold to one side. Inhale, arms up, exhale, fold to the other. So landing and lengthening. Inhale, land and lengthen. So when you press one hand down on the ground, lengthen the opposite side body through the rib cage. Inhale up, exhale, land, keeping your hips grounded. If you're doing this on a chair, you're just going to press into the chair. Bring your arms overhead, slow wrist circles all the way down to your lap. And then we're going to do some wrist and hand massage. So thinking about our left hand, we're going to take our right thumb We're going to find the palm, the heel of the palm, right underneath the pinky finger. Pinky finger side, little circles here. And then slowly move your circles over to the bottom of the thumb. Little circles here. And if you find there's a couple of pressure points here, if you find the point that feels fabulous to hold, feel free to just hold here. Imagine making space in around the thumb and into the wrist. And then we're going to take our hand, right hand, and we're going to rub it over the top of the wrist. Little soft circles. Maybe even up the forearm if you like. You can go all the way up the arm. Little circly grasps all the way up. Thinking about increasing circulation. Getting to know your tension in your arm. And then we're going to take little circles on the tip of the thumb. And then the first finger. Next finger. Looking at your hand while you're doing this, really becoming fully present with what you're doing. And then on to the last finger. And then find the little pads where the hand connects to the finger. Little circles here, right at the thumb, right at the base of the index finger, base of the middle finger, base of the ring finger, and then base of the little finger. And then interlace your fingers and pull your hands apart. Moving through the fingers. Bring both hands to your lap. Soft wiggle of the hands and notice left and right sides. And then left thumb to the heel of the hand on the right side, right underneath little finger, little circles. Ooh, I found some terrible tension there. I'll have to pay attention to that later. And then circles at the base of the thumb. So base, heel of the thumb, right near the wrist. And again, if you find a spot that feels great to hold, feel free to press in and hold, making space. And then taking the hand, rubbing across the top of the wrist and then up the arm. Take the base of the thumb, find little circles at the base of the other thumb, right where the thumb meets the hand. And then the index finger, little circles. Next finger, next finger, the next finger. And then to the tip of the thumb, little circles. Tip of the finger, next, next, and next. And then interlace the fingers and pull apart. Interlace the fingers, pull apart, and just take some movements through the wrists, nice and slow. Have a little play with where you're holding tension in the hands and wrists. You can turn the hands out, palms out. And then release the hands and taking the hands wide, 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 fingers wide. And then take slow circles. So it's trying to feel the muscles of the hands, noticing if there's any point where you're clicking particularly. And then we're going to turn the palms up, pull the fingertips down, and then pull the hands in towards each other and then out. Making little U shapes, moving from the wrist down. Nice and slow. And then soften the hands, wiggle the fingers, loosen up the shoulders, bring the palms face up into your lap. Maybe even close your eyes and see how you feel. Notice what is present. And then we'll move on to face massage. So we're going to take 2 fingers on either hand, find the corners of our mouth, little circles. So thinking about where we get wrinkles, it's where we hold our tension and our muscles in our face. So imagine washing away this tension. Bring your 2 fingers to where upper and lower jaw meet. Nice big circles here. And then make pinchy fingers with the index finger and thumb. Find the lower jawbone, pinch in the center, and then pull back. Follow the bone all the way back towards the ear. Nice slow strokes. Two fingers on either hand. Find the corners of your eyes. Soft circles here. So little soft circles. Gentle with the skin around the eyes. And then you can either take 2 fingers and stroke along the bone underneath the eye, or little tiny soft taps. So see which one feels right for you. Following the bone out. Then 2 fingers of one hand, press in between the eyes and stroke up towards the hairline. Nice, long, slow, firm strokes. And then bring your arms down, palms up in the lap, soften the shoulders, maybe even close the eyes, and notice what is present. Feel the skin on your face. And then slowly make your way down to your back. Taking your time, grabbing any props that you might need for your final resting pose before you come down. So have your blanket, your cushions, anything you need ready. And start to land back down on the ground. Begin where we started. So bring your feet down, knees together, low back soft. And notice how you feel. What feels different? Notice your breath. Notice the tension in your face. Wiggle your toes. Notice your feet. Take a little side sway slowly with the chin. Feel the muscles in the neck. And then see if you can imagine your shoulders getting heavier and heavier, beginning to really land in the ground. And notice if your shoulder looks like it's popping up. And even with intentional focus, it's still a lot higher than the ground. If you have, I don't have my towel with me. If you have something like a little hand towel you can place in under the shoulder to let it know where the ground is. Place it just in under the shoulder and let the shoulders know where the ground is. So you want to feel the shoulder blades on the ground. And really start to bring your focus across the collarbones and across the front of the shoulders. So maybe your palms are up, maybe your arms are bent. Really starting to think about letting go of all the tension across the shoulders, across the chest. Perhaps even bringing your focus to your breath and breathing in fresh as if you're breathing across the chest. And with every exhale, getting a little softer, sweeping away a little more tension. Notice if one shoulder seems to be tighter or holding more tension than the other. Notice if your shoulders melted to the ground, maybe some tension is more noticeable in your lower back or maybe in your neck. If your shoulders are completely melted, bring your attention to your face and see if you can start to melt the muscles of your face. Bring them attention to the palms of your hands. See if you can soften the palms of your hands a little more. And then make a decision about where you want to be for your resting pose. Maybe you want to remain here with your shoulders melted into the ground. Maybe you need to add some props. Maybe you want to curl up in a ball today. Find the place where you're going to be releasing as much tension as possible. Take the time to really find comfort. Blankets, socks, cushions, whatever you need. Really start to land into comfort. This is yoga for stress, so we're trying to release that stress. We're trying to find ways to let go and release. So beginning to melt into the ground. Begin to let go of control of even your breath. Let go of any thoughts about pauses or lengthening. And just begin to let your breath flow. Bring a little more softness to the face. Take a check-in. Notice what is present in the mind. Notice what the thoughts are doing. Imagine you can be a little miniature version of yourself, kind of sitting right in the center of your brain. You're going to look back at the thoughts flying by as if there was a TV screen right behind your eyes. You're just going to watch the thoughts fly as if they're some kind of distant entertainment. And then leaving your TV screen on, knowing that it's there, knowing that that's what it does. It fires its constant source of moving information, rather than trying to switch it off and avoid it. See it there. See the thoughts, see the brain, see the mind firing. And then, as if you could gently walk deeper down into your internal self, towards the heart space. Imagine you could walk down a staircase down your spine, and the TV of your mind is still there, still firing, still doing what it does. You're less and less caught up in the action of it as you move further and further away. Landing in the heart space, the center of the chest, as if landing in your truest, deepest self, like a little warm cave that exists within the home of your soul, home of your bliss layer. And before you go deeply into your rest, I'm going to read from the Radiant Sutra today. And remembering that these words were written in a language poetic long time ago. They've been through many translations, and this is just one of them. And these words are meant to be heard from the heart space, the bliss self, not understood with the cognitive head. Beloved, reject the reality of everything. Deny the universe of appearance. Say no to the phenomenal world. Reside in the secret place inside. As joy rises in the heart at this sudden freedom, enter there and dwell. So meditation is a practice. It's not something that we get perfect every time. Distractions will come. Emotions can distract us. Thoughts can distract us. The practice is just gently drawing yourself more and more deeply inside, away from the distractions. It is not about emptying the mind, forcing the thoughts away, and gently bringing our focus to something else, to one thing. And then knowing when we get pulled away, and we're just going to gently draw our focus back to that one thing. And it can be any one thing. There are lots of practices. Today's one thing is going to be gently drawing in towards our heart center. Maybe if you're not so much of a visual person, you're just looking to get so quiet that you can hear the sound of your own heartbeat. And then when you lose it, you know your thoughts and your mind have drawn you away. And you're not going to get frustrated. You're not going to get angry. You're just going to gently pull yourself back down towards the heart. Knowing that forcing ourselves, being angry and judging ourselves when we get distracted is not helpful and doesn't increase the benefit. The benefit is to be forgiving and kind to yourself and gently return to center. knowing that some days this will be a magical, easy process, and some days it just won't work. If you have the time to spend more time in your resting pose, please take as much time as you need, listening to your body, giving yourself permission to really release all the stress that's held within, even if it's just for a short moment in time. If you need to finish up at 60 minutes, you're going to begin to make your way to a fetal position if you're not already there. Curl up in a little ball of protection. Imagine this ball of protection is bringing you back to a time when we were in the womb, when all of our needs were met and we had not passed ourselves through the duality of life and judged ourselves negative or positive. We were simply that spark of life, and that spark of life exists within us unchanged by our experiences, ready and waiting for us to connect within, get to know our deepest, innermost selves, our essential selves, our bliss layer. And in getting to connect to this bliss layer, we're more easily able to balance all the other layers of our lives. And this bliss layer is not just a layer within ourselves. It is the spark of us that looks for connection. Connection to something greater than ourselves, connection to each other. And yoga allows for whatever spirituality you already have. So if you already have something greater than yourself, a God or something that you believe in, and take a moment to feel that bliss in you being connected to the bliss outside of you. And if you don't have a particular spiritual belief, then think about the bliss inside of you being connected to something in nature that sparked that bliss in you. Perhaps the sunset that took your breath away. That is your bliss, connecting to something bigger than you. And thank Thinking about that bliss connection spreading throughout your entire physical form. Slowly bring yourself to a seated position. Bring your hands to prayer heart space. Connect with bringing your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart, accepting yourself as whole and complete, precisely as you are. Thinking about letting your bliss, your innermost self, shine from your heart space out into your life, out into your community, and out to each other. May we all know a little love, a little light, and a lot of connection. Thanks for joining me.